Nice. So I just dropped a video low key into the Space Makers channel just a couple minutes ago. Did anybody notice that or get a look at it?
Yeah, now, not then.
Does it give you maybe have any idea what it's about? That'd be a good question to ask. Let's see if people can figure it out. And then we can unravel my waffle.
Okay.
Gotta read the damn
Screw it.
thing first. Oh, it's a
Fishman.
video. Oh no, hang on.
It's a video.
I have
Yeah,
I
it's a
have
piloting
idea.
system.
Okay, hit me. Go ahead, Dead.
It is not the piloting system of Grenade Head. It's the flight system you have brought up previously.
It is. You're wrong on both fronts.
Shit.
It
I'll
is
take
the
the L and
piloting
leave.
system.
I don't know
I'll
what
just
it is.
leave.
It is the piloting system.
Fuck.
Ooh.
That's right.
Oh wow. Cool,
Yeah,
cool,
I've
cool.
been crunching all weekend
Mm.
to honestly I try to create a backwards compatible attachment system for the new avatar. And in working in a few other areas on the new build, I kept breaking it, right? Because it's just a burden to have to work around legacy stuff, and it's legacy on top of legacy. And God, I wish we just had more time, but I just said screw it, and I've spent most of this weekend implementing what is the new attachment system. But as part of that attachment system, one element of it is the piloting system, right? The reason that they're put together is that they're kind of the same as each other, right? One is attaching things to your avatar, the other is attaching your avatar to things. So I kind of track them the same, right? You have an attachment in the space, it's attaching to a certain avatar, or you can attach a certain avatar to a thing in the space, right? Now, there's couple of nuances, and I'll be happy to answer any questions because it's all literally very fresh. I literally recorded that video in the Space Makers channel moments before I jumped in. I see a lot of other people have joined. Uh, okay, nobody else tell them. But for those of you who have just joined, have you seen the video in the Space Makers channel, and can you tell me what's going on in it? And nobody tell them.
It's clearly the flight system.
Dead Zed says it's the flight system.
Mm.
Static, you've
Says
seen the
it.
video in Space Makers. Do you know what it's about?
Oh yeah,
What's it about?
it's all about the physics.
That's right. But do you know what that particular video is about? I'm going to take your silence as a no. Piloting. That's right. You got it in one. Were you actually watching the video and you just twigged that, or did you just guess that out of nowhere?
No, I just said it now.
Right, fair play. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, right? A piloting system. Or for anybody who's unfamiliar with what that is, on VR chat they call it the seat system, right? Where you can sit on people's hands or on their shoulders or on their heads, or you can sit inside of vehicles, be them cars or planes or whatever the hell else you want. And one of the most important things about this system, which was the most challenging part about it, was making sure that if yeah, how's the best way to explain this? So, if anybody's ever been on that flying car in the Slipstream Island, you might remember that it looks good for you, but everybody else kind of lags behind. And if you're going fast enough, they're way out of the back of the car, right? So, what this actually does is uh, it creates a joint, let's say, right, between the remote avatar and the object in that space as well. And then while that's happening, it will only update the object within local space relative to that object that it's attached to, right? So your avatar positions swap from world space to local space depending on whether you're linked to an object. effectively how it works. Now, there's a few scenarios in there where things can kind of fall down, like what happens if the object you're jointed to is deleted, or what happens if it's scaled or something weird happens to it. Well, for one, we're not using reparenting for this new attachment system and piloting system, so we're never moving objects around. That means Sebek, if he's here, your trick of being able to scale the avatar won't work anymore, unfortunately. And Nistex, if someone can let him know, his trick of being able to rotate the avatar won't work anymore because of that reparenting is kind of changing. Maybe the rotate could work. That could possibly work. But what's great about that system, it means that if the object that you're attached to disappears, it just breaks the connection and you go back to normal. There's a little bit of cleanup that's handled, but all in all, it's a lot more it's a lot more stable, let's say, than using a system that would have reparenting, where an object might get destroyed or changed or something weird happens, and you can never really account for that. What's also good about it is that uh, we actually keep all the information that even if the object doesn't exist on the other side, that it will fall back to updating your world position instead of your local position. So it means it should roughly still get you into the right place, although that latency problem that we have now would still be there in that case, right? So that's something to look out for whenever you're going to be using this system, because you could have one user on one client and you've just created a box because they've clicked on a button and you've piloted them or seeded them on that box, right? But that box might not even exist on other people's clients. And there's a couple of gotchas like that that you kind of have to be aware of, right? And it's mainly about making sure everything exists when it should, and either you create a pool of objects to begin with and you pull from that pool and you never actually create or destroy. That's actually a great strategy for a number of reasons, right? Pooling objects is a fantastic optimization. Or you hook into some event that's almost guaranteed to run on everyone's client, right? So if you're going to seat a certain avatar onto an object, you could do it inside the user joined event, right? Because that's going to run for you locally, but it's also going to run on everyone else's client for your remote avatar, right? And then you can use that to parent and to make sure that avatar gets parented as well. But
Nice.
yes, what is interesting and what is useful about it is that there is a certain amount of sync that's abstracted. It makes it a bit easier, right? Normally, if you were going to click on a button, let's say, that might attach your local avatar, but it might not trigger the same attachment remotely for your remote avatar. Now we're getting a bit technical. A lot of this is really fresh in my mind, but I've used something which none of you have ever probably heard of before, something called user state properties, right? Which are very similar to space state properties, which I'm sure a lot of you have come across in some ways, right? But user state properties are basically semi-persistent data we can store against the user that remains while they're in that space, right? So if new people join after, they get the data updates too. It's kind of somewhere in between space state properties and one shots, right? So we're using this to now store the fact that you've attached an object to a user. And what that means is that if that object exists on the other side, it will automatically attach to that user on that end too, right? So you don't have to worry about that part of it. It makes it a lot easier in general to be able to do it that way, right? Because you just don't have to care as much about attaching the objects. You still have to care about creating them, but attaching them is less of a concern. Yeah, I don't know. I've just jumped right into waffling about that. I should probably have started by explaining for anybody who is new. I don't know if there is anyone new here. Maybe there's some. I'll do it anyway. Welcome to Space Makers. This is our weekly event. This one is running for only 30 minutes. It's normally an hour, but we've got lots on right now. So we've shortened it. We'll probably be back to the right length, I would say maybe next week or the week after, back to the full hour. Um, this event is about making spaces. Behind me, you can see the documentation. You can find all of this on the Banter website. Some of you might have noticed that I've updated the website, so the new docs and support section now has links to more than just the new documentation, also the old documentation, which is still somewhat valid, as well as links to our knowledge base and our support desk, right, where you can submit a ticket if you need to. Please submit a ticket there. I want to make sure my people are on that and responding. So feel free to pop into our support desk and say hello and see who comes back to you. But yeah, that's the best place to come. Apart from that, Discord is obviously always a great place, as I'm sure a lot of you know as well, to come and chat about everything to do with building worlds. This event typically is a Q&A, so if anybody wants to make their way up onto the podium and shut me up, I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. But yeah, as it stands right now, we are about a week out of releasing what will be the biggest update for this app probably ever. And it's going to be so much changed. It is honestly strange to be in the app right now the way that it is, given how much
All
uh,
right.
I've been using the new one recently, right? Almost everything about it is so different, right? Anybody who's enjoying using the avatars and struggling with some of the compromises we've had to make for performance on the current system, you are going to love this new system, right? It has everything just built in and it just works. And there's none of these balloons and the LODs and the optimization are way less aggressive. The performance is way, way better.
All
Go ahead,
right.
Pox. What can I do you for?
I know this might not be super topical, but I have a question. I've seen so many people now, new users coming in, trying to create an account and then failing and leaving and never coming back. Will it be easier in the future for them to create an account and an avatar as soon as they come in here?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, in a nutshell, it will. We've been hard at work at what we call internally the onboarding space, right? And this is a space that's kind of specially designed for new users, right? We'll call it the new user space. That's probably a better term for it. But the idea is that this will provide instant guides and support on some of the most popular things, right? I think the most key essential information deemed to be in there is basically two things, right? Signing up and getting signed into your account as a top priority, and then next to that is being able to change your avatar, right? We've identified that those are the top items that people want to have absolutely utmost. And then on top of that, the onboarding space will kind of beckon the user to explore the rest of the app, right? Find spaces and events and kind of go from there. We're also planning on having a regular sort of active follow-up from that called a 101 event, right? If anybody's familiar, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. And it's going to be designed to introduce users in real time to all the basics of how to get started with the platform. But it will also contain these pre-recorded guides, let's say, right, where it could be an actual full avatar recording, which is talking to them and taking them through how to do everything. The 101 space, I kind of think of it will be somewhat of an archive of a lot of these little snippets of info that new users will be able to just go in, browse whenever they want, right? Even if it's not an event that's running at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the plan for the onboarding. I think beyond that, maybe there's some other areas. Maybe we can make it possible to sign up within the app and not have to go to the website and sign up there. That could be another thing we can explore trying to do. But that initial experience, even as a guest, right, before they've even signed up, is something that we put a lot of time and energy. And in fact, the voiceover recordings that we've recently procured. We've got some special ones just for the
Woo!
onboarding space, and they're going to be embedded in there indefinitely, right? So those will be
Yeah.
always there to help welcome the new users. We might do a back and throw between maybe Faye and Richard Iowati or something like that, and hopefully that's going to get people excited in the first, few seconds of them being in the app. Sorry, Static. Go ahead. I'm waffling.
It's all cool. I was just thinking, I've had this idea for a long time for the onboarding space, but it'd be so cool if when people come in, a video screen buzzes right up in front of them, and then it's Faye and Jem and Danny, and they're like, "Hi there, welcome to Banter," and they do a whole intro thing and teach people stuff. That'd be so neat. Just if this screen whizzed up right in front of them and like educated them, it's not just the stuff on the walls, just something a little more 3D and interactive.
Oh yeah.
That sounds amazing, but I have to say, am I the only one who thought that there was kind of like a punchline coming after that, right? So it's like, here's a screen and it's Danny and it's Faye and it's Jem and they're like, hello, whatever, and then they forget that they haven't turned the stream off and they're sitting there
Yeah.
bad mouthing
Are we still
the
on? What's
CEO
going
or
on?
something.
And then we got do you have the
Yeah.
outtakes?
Better yet,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hologram would be
Yeah, I mean,
awesome.
I definitely agree with you, right? Something like that. What we're planning on having is actual full-blown recorded versions of their avatars, right? Maybe that can work
Yeah.
instead of the video screen, but
Mhm.
we're actually going to have like video screens on the wall that will just be running that show you like, here's the menu that pops up, here's how you go to do this. There's going to be some of you have probably already seen this, right? But there's markings on the floor that show you how to get started with your controls, right? And
Yeah.
it guides you from station to station to sort of find out more. So I think, yeah, definitely we could try and evolve those and figure out what kind of medium people tend to respond best to, right? And
Yeah.
we can
Maybe
definitely
you
and
could even
maybe
have like
maybe
a possible contest for a member to be part of that as well. Somebody to
we
guide.
could do. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I think once
Somebody
we've
knows
got
how to
the
jump on a podium real good.
once we've got the new avatar system out, the new recording system, which by the way basically functions as a mocap system, a full-blown mocap
Hmm.
system. We've been using other professional tools to achieve the same thing, and
Yeah.
basically we get the same quality of mocap from our own recordings as we do from theirs, which is quite interesting. But yeah, once we do that, then we can probably use that system to get a recording of somebody, right? And
Hmm.
we've been especially enjoying doing it with full body tracking. We've been playing around with it in a lot of different ways recently with the new build, right? So it's
Right
definitely going to
on.
be exciting to combine all that together and maybe finger tracking as well, potential for other sensors to be connected in.
Can't wait.
All of that can be recorded with the new system, which is pretty cool, right? So then we could slap that into the onboarding. We could put it into the 101 space where plan to have a
Hmm.
lot of those. I'm kind of thinking, Ready Player One. I think it's called the archive in there. Where it's got that robot guy. He's the kind of butler sort of dude, and they go back through and can rewatch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking like that. You'll have 3D versions of people recorded, and you can go through the archives and find out,
That'd be so
you know,
cool.
everything you need to know. Maybe browse through some history and great opportunity to embed some members of the community in that as well.
Yeah, I love it.
Build exactly like that.
Awesome. Thanks, Shane. That's wicked.
Oh,
Mhm.
I missed you. You're very bouncy. Nearly shot
I
you
love
with a
that.
Spider-Man. Oh God. What else can I waffle about? Let's see. Honestly, the last week has just been about going through an enormous backlog of features and issues, things that need to be re-hooked up, re-implemented, fixed, various different things. We completely revamped the teleport visuals, right? So you're going to get to see this. I'm kind of giving you guys all of the info. You're not going to be surprised by anything when you get to see it, but I think you are. You're going to really enjoy it. But yeah, the teleport visuals now we've got. We used a similar technique to the portals, right? There's kind of this shimmering exterior line, kind of a neon rope kind of effect almost around the outside of the portal. It's actually better. The portal's been improved since in the new version, but yeah, we're using the similar things so that your teleport line kind of now looks like like an electric rope, kind of, if you know what I mean, when you're casting it out. And then, we've got a similar indicator now on the ground that's all. It's a pretty nice visual effect in a shader, similar to the outline of the portal, right? Where it's kind of shimmering and it's rotating and it's multiple parts rotating in different directions at different speeds. Looks fantastic, right? We've also got a similar thing then for the Spider-Man rope. So there's a whole new aesthetic there that matches all of them. And the custom colors now apply to that new teleport line as well as the Spider-Man line, right? So there you go. There's a new thing that you're going to get from the custom colors. There's a possibility there could be some new rope settings. But what we're going to do is we're going to have to just gray those out, right? We're just going to have to just disable those and put a little banner over the top that says coming in 2025. Yeah, $48.99 a month.
Yeah.
And you can change the stretchiness of your rope.
Yeah,
Stretchiness,
you have
ladies
to
and
do
gentlemen.
that. You have to do that.
You can have whatever stretchiness. You can change the reel speed. Can you imagine how amazing you'd be if you could reel like a fucking god?
Zing.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, there's so much. There's honestly so much. Right now, we have kind of like a God mode screen, like a debug screen for the new physics character controller, where we have a subset of the new options and configurations, and we're basically testing out, what makes the most sense. What's the best kind of defaults? What settings should we expose so that everybody has access to be able to change them? And yeah, I mean, there's already so many different cool things. Like one thing I like is you can change whether it's your hand that controls the direction of movement or your head, right? So if you're looking forward, you can move forward, or if you're facing your hand forward, you can move forward, right? That's a thing, isn't that a thing, Aline?
Um,
Yeah, Aline said that's a thing. I heard her,
It's a thing.
even if you guys didn't. uh, but yeah, I mean, it's just one of many different things, right? There's going to be a lot of new options, and it's about trying to figure out what kind of makes the most sense. And yeah, uh, um, yeah, I mean, I think what we'll try and do is expose as much as possible, right? And let you guys kind of play with it. And maybe before we really rip the lid off of it and start to shout loud about the new update, maybe there might even be a few days that we can get a pre-release, and you guys can let us know if we've got anything really drastically wrong with the new setup. But honestly, I think you're gonna love it. It's so good. It's so smooth. Moving around is just like walking on air. You've seen the videos of what Nimso has done with this, with all of the shock absorption and stuff like that, and you can feel it, right? It actually makes it so much more comfortable, and it's going to make users more comfortable whenever they use it, right? But then you introduce the pilot system where you can link your avatar to an object and then you can fling that object out into the universe and it's spinning so fast and it's the exact opposite of comfort, right? Those are the extremes of where we're going with this. Your everyday normal walk around, totally cool, really comfortable. Oop, I sat on an object and it got shot out into the universe.
I love it.
Everything is, my eyes are bleeding. So yeah, it's a nice range, I think. It's a nice spectrum to be able to have all of those options. But yeah, I think honestly the piloting is going to be a real nice cherry on the cake. I didn't expect that we would be able to get that done. There's still some work to do to get us there. And there's also still some items on the list, so by no means can we relax yet. The next few days are going to be really, really critical. But the piloting is so cool because, being able to jump into a car with a couple of your friends and cruise around a world in a car, right? Or whatever, a helicopter, a plane, a boat,
Like,
pretty much anything you want, right?
oh yeah.
Jetpacks. You could have
Motorbike.
jetpacks and fly around. What else could you do? You could
Skateboard.
do a zero gravity space theoretically, right? And do like thrusters, stuff like that, where you could spin your avatar upside down in 0G, not just what we've had up until now. Yeah, and I mean, on top of that, you can sit on people's hands, and then those people can jump up and down like crazy and spin you all around the place, and then you'll get really sick. That's always fun too. Roller coasters, right? That's a fairly simple one. Makes a lot of sense. Let's just have seats in a roller coaster we can all jump in and go flying around, right? Honestly, I think it is. It's the sort of thing that makes it easier to create worlds, gamified spaces, that kind of stuff, because you can just pull a couple of these parts together and then end up making something cool. But yeah, go ahead, Dead Zed. I see you're angling to
Awesome.
get up there. Go
So
ahead.
with this new seat system,
Yeah.
could we attach it to, let's say, a ball, have someone sit on the ball, someone else pick up the ball and throw them across the map?
Yes, you could absolutely
Then
do
yes,
that.
Tony, you're screwed.
Thank you. I was just going
Yeah.
to attach you to a bullet and fire you out of the gun.
Close
Yes.
enough.
I can't wait.
Yes. I mean, a good pattern, right? Let's say you're going to create a vehicle, right? Let's not care too much about what type of vehicle that is right now, but you're going to have a vehicle and you're going to have a certain number of seats, right? You take the example I posted in the chat. Ideally, a good pattern there is that the vehicle itself could be a network synced object, right? Whoever has ownership or control over the vehicle, maybe let them control the wheels somehow, right? Maybe it's from their actual controllers, when they're in the car, right? And then each of the seats is kind of an attachment point that's separate from, the network synced object system. So it just means that you can kind of intermingle those two things together and, potentially also leverage friction as well, right? When it comes to how things have worked to date. But obviously, we know the challenges that can bring. But if it's slow enough movement, you could have a combination, right? You could have a helicopter with some people seated in the seats, controlling and flying the helicopter, other people standing up in the back of the helicopter, being moved around with physics, right? And keep most of that kind of feeling okay. And yeah, you can just imagine the sort of things that can unfold if you can start to pull all those pieces together, right? There's obviously a huge amount I think we could make in terms of gamified things with a system like this. So yeah, super excited to have been able to get that in at the last minute, and yeah, hopefully it all works. But so far, based on the testing I've been doing mostly today, things are looking pretty good, right? The other side of it is the attachment system, right? Which I think slightly less exciting because we've seen that before. We've had that in a lot of cases, but maybe I can tell you that there are going to be significant upgrades to the attachment system as well, right? So, for instance, there's going to be two different types of attachment where you can do a physics or a non-physics attachment. With a non-physics attachment, you're actually able to specify a bone name, right? And there is up to whatever, I don't know, 40 plus bone names. So you can attach things down to the individual parts of the finger if that's what you want to do, right? On the other hand, there's also the ability to do a physics-based attachment, and every avatar, remote or local, has physics colliders on their avatar, right? So there's a limited set of points you can attach to. I think it's head, hands, torso, and legs. Those are the 5 places that you can attach to with physics. But with the physics attachments, it does actually attach with physics, right? So, and it moves the objects with physics. Yeah, maybe that's a nice one I could leave us with. One of the things on my list, right? We've always had this ability to hold hands in Banter, right? And we've also had the ability to stand on people's hands. But I'm sure you guys have noticed in the past, sometimes, when someone's standing on your hand, they can just slip off pretty easily. Well, we're hoping to set something up where you could have enough friction on your hand to actually be able to move somebody around, even move them side to side, and they will stay on your hand and not get slipped off, right? So that's something that we're trying to test with, and the chances are that the rest of the body colliders, whilst there's certainly some nuances there in terms of what will collide with your actual physics character controller colliders, but those will have the same benefit because they will be, if you use physics attachments, they will be attached with physics. They will use physics updates. That means that things like friction and so forth, all of the, all of the, like using the follow animation, if anybody's familiar with that script, you've got to use that or the physics doesn't work right. Well, this new system should mean that every avatar has a little bit of that physics built in, so things should work right a little bit more. Go ahead, Static. I'll answer
All right,
one more
Shane.
question
So,
before
man,
I jump.
you gotta make it happen, man. We gotta be able to juggle our friends. I want to see it happen. I want to juggle at least three friends. It's gonna happen,
Okay.
man.
There you go. That'll be fun. That would definitely be fun. Even if you could just jump two from one hand to another,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
would still be impressive. But three would be all the more impressive. That's for sure. Definitely. But yeah, it's honestly, guys, it's so fun right now. We are so close to the end. There's so many huge, large scale projects that are all coming together, and we are literally days away at this point. So everything is very exciting internally, and yeah, things are moving forward pretty sharply, which is great. So stay tuned, because in a few short days, you won't recognize the place. Things are going to
Yeah.
be so much different, right? But yeah, that's it. That's
Yeah.
it for me. I think
Thank you.
tomorrow's AMA is actually cancelled. I think it's giving way for an event run by Discord Kitty. Maybe you'd like to come up and tell us about that, Discord Kitty, before if you want to make it up or try, or just stand up here at the side if getting up onto this is a bit of a
Okay, I
challenge.
did not expect to be called on. That was a surprise. I'm just gonna stand here on the ground where it's safe. So
That's fair.
tomorrow I've got the event set up. It's starting at 12 Pacific, which is 3 Eastern, 2 Central, and I think maybe around 4 or 5 in the UK. But we're doing an event. It's going to run for a couple hours. People can filter in and out. It is for Vanquisher. It is a fundraiser. There is a new space. If you open up your menu, you can see it on the feature space lists. It's number 1 GOAT. Dead Zed threw this together. And it was an idea that Zephy and Dead Zed had together to make this space for him. It features links to all of Vanquisher's world. It also features a PayPal link that goes directly to Vanquisher. Due to some very unfortunate circumstances that were out of his control, he is in an extremely bad position. So we're trying to come together to help him so he does not lose his home, is basically what it gets at the end of the day. That's what we're trying to do. So even if you can't do anything but show up to support, I know not everybody's going to be in a position to help, and I completely respect and understand that. But just, being there and showing him that you care will mean a lot to him as well. He just, over the last 24 hours since we've started this, he's actually kind of come out of what he was going through a bit and is starting to see a bit of the light. So thank you to those of you who have already reached out. And we're going to help him. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Discord Kitty. That's great. And sorry, Vanquisher, that you're going through some shit. I hope you do get that resolved. And apologies, I really didn't mean to put you on the
guys.
spot.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I honestly did not expect like anything that you guys would do for me like that. I love you all. Like, we are family. Thank you.
We love you, Vanquisher.
I don't know what I can say.
Yeah.
We love
You guys are doing so.
Love you,
Thank you
dude.
so much.
Thank you.
You're a treasure.
Love you, Vanquisher.
So please come to that event in place of AMA. And yeah, I don't know. maybe there could be a good reason to be at such an event. I won't say any more. I'll just I'll, I'll just leave it there. Anyway, I have to jump. I have to get back into it. Every second counts right now. So I'm going to jump straight back into the attachments and piloting system for another couple of hours before I eventually pass out. Thank you all so much. I'll see you very soon. I look forward to getting this release out and being able to enjoy being on Banter a lot more than I've been deprived of lately. But anyway,
Yeah.
talk to you all
Thank
very
you, Shane.
soon.
Thank you,
Thank
Shane.
Shane.
Bye bye.
See you, Shane.
Oh, also, your hands don't go into your face
Ooh, thank you,
anymore, right?
Shane.
That's a thing. I'm just gonna.
Yay!
Yeah, right.
Aw, but I want my hands in
See
my
you
face.
later.